Greetings, most gracious audience. I am Sir Persevere, Knight of the Hand-Drawn Realm. I am also a defender of truth, justice, and the American way. As you may already know by now, I have been a harsh critic of the modern entertainment corporations. They are hollow dictators of our beloved myths, soulless beyond human comprehension, and have no value for life. Most of my vitriol of late has been aimed at Disney, but I have mentioned now and again that I also despise Netflix. There is a reason that I boycott the company, choosing instead to share an account with a friend while not throwing money at it. Netflix waxes ever bolder on the path of perversity, and part of the problem is that not enough people expressed outrage at this practice. However, credit must be given to a lot of said people, as we all now see Netflix show its true colors. Where did it all go wrong? In this video, I will be talking about topics that may not be kid-friendly. I put that disclaimer in all my videos, but I think that is especially true this time. First off, how did we get to this point? How did we get to the place where Netflix is promoting pedophilia in a movie called Cuties? A project which is actually the polar opposite of cute. A customer asks Netflix this very question. How does a movie sexualizing children get approved? Who signed off on this? Netflix responds with, "We understand that not all stories may appeal to all our viewers, which is why we always invest in a diverse range of content from all over the world. We also provide ratings, synopses, trailers, and controls to help our members make the right viewing choices for themselves and their families." Oh, how adorable, Netflix. You're really going to use the crap diversity and inclusion argument to justify promoting a movie of underage girls doing things they shouldn't be doing? I understand that there are many cultures all over the world, but some of those cultures openly promote things that are outright evil. China, for example, promotes genocide, racism, and slavery. Is Netflix going to start promoting those stories to appeal to the Chinese audience? A lot of Middle Eastern countries abuse women and promote open bigotry against other religious views that don't line up with theirs. Are we just going to sit back and say, "Hey Netflix, let's promote these practices on your service so that we can bring in the Middle Eastern crowd"? I mean, come on Netflix. With this kind of logic, if Nazi Germany were still around, you'd probably broadcast the torments of the concentration camps just so that you could make a buck and persuade people to accept anti-Semitism as something decent. All for that diversity and inclusion, right? The customer goes on to ask, "Do you support pedophilia?" A simple yes or no will suffice. To which Netflix responds with, "We cannot really comment on that, but while we believe in creative freedom, at Netflix we respect all religions and their cultures, traditions, and values." Stop the pontificating, Netflix. Stop the stumping. Stop the political correctness. Stop the hemming and hawing. It really is a simple question. Do you support child abuse or not? Based on this political posturing by Netflix, I think the answer is yes. The people running Netflix should be investigated for promoting this evil, creepy, and unnatural behavior. So, how did we get to this point where Netflix is hosting movies like Cuties on its platform? It's not like it reached that decision overnight. Somewhere along the way, Netflix took incremental steps before reaching this stage. With each step closer to Cuties, not many people protested the increasingly disturbing signs of child abuse. So, where did it start? I will do my best to explore some of the warning signs that we all should have picked up on. And because I am the animation commentator, it would behoove me to bring in some of Netflix's animated projects into play as I explore the degradation, though I will be criticizing some of its live-action projects as well. First off, let us examine the disgusting perversion known as Beastars. Beastars is an anime that came out as a Netflix original. I made the regrettable error to watch the first season of this unwatchable crap. The trailers advertised this project as a more expansive version of Zootopia, with animals of all varieties coexisting, including reptiles and birds in addition to mammals. Because I was disappointed with the lack of non-mammals in Zootopia, I decided to give this show a chance. Would that I hadn't. As I already made clear in my recently released Princess Mononoke review videos, I dislike anime in general. However, there is a subgenre of anime I really loathe, and that would be the high school sex drama anime cartoons. Beastars is pretty much the Animal Kingdom version of human high school sex dramas. What's worse, the show promoted interspecies relationships. Before people take me out of context, I will explain where I have a problem. If the show had been about a wolf falling in love with a fox, I would classify that kind of relationship as interbreeding. Wolves, dogs, and foxes are all part of the canine family. As such, interbreed relationships between these animals are fine. Interspecies relationships, on the other hand, would be like a wolf falling in love with a totally unrelated creature such as a rabbit. In fact, that is exactly what happens in Beastars. All this is in addition to the fact that there is a lot of sexual drama going on between high school students who haven't even graduated yet, a practice which ought to be condemned in a decent society. Anyway, this show had a lot of sexual perversion, and not enough people made an outcry about it. In fairness, this is probably the least offensive of the offensive stuff as far as the topic of underage exploitation is concerned. At any rate, the topic at hand finally gave me a chance to voice my regret of watching the first season of Beastars, and to voice my intention to never watch this show ever again. Second, let us take a look at the show that really should have made waves years ago as far as outrage is concerned. Let's take a look at Big Mouth. Aside from the atrocious Tumblr scribbles that some erroneously call art, there is a much more important issue at play. Big Mouth, from my understanding, explores kids going through puberty. On top of that, I have heard that the kids are apparently shown in the nude from time to time. Fortunately, I never bothered to watch this show, but it was obvious to me from the very get-go that this garbage animated series was messed up. This was doubtlessly one of the gateway drugs that helped Netflix get used to the idea of supporting and promoting pedophilia. But was there any significant outcry at that point? No, because people thought it was an adult cartoon, I guess. But then, the question has to be raised. What kind of adult thinks this abominable garbage is okay to watch? Oh, but it's just cartoon kids going through puberty. Those aren't real kids on the screen. Again, since when does any rational adult have any reason to watch cartoon kids going through puberty at all? The very idea ought to make one's skin crawl. Third, we all should have been hinted off that Netflix really doesn't care about kids or life at all when it released that hideous monstrosity known as 13 Reasons Why. This show promotes the idea of kids committing suicide when life doesn't go their way. Using suicide as the permanent solution to a temporary problem is truly a heartbreaking outcome. In fact, I personally know families who have been directly impacted by that show. These families have loved ones who watched that filth as teenagers, then afterwards felt compelled to kill themselves at such a young age. Those are lives that will never be able to sing, laugh, enjoy the company of others, or raise families of their own. And why? Because Netflix decided it would be easy to make a buck by pushing out some edgy content for teenagers to watch. The families that were directly impacted by the show have signed petitions to Netflix to take that show off their platform. And like the soulless corporate titan that it is, Netflix has doubled down on its rhetoric and ignored the pleas of these families. Netflix, for all its virtue signaling, has forgotten that human lives cannot be counted in dollars. Fourth, we shall confront the most damning piece of evidence that reveals Netflix as the vile monster it truly is. And honestly, this should have invoked the most righteous outrage to begin with. Perhaps we would have been spared this Cuties nonsense if we had voiced our displeasure at the event I'm about to describe. Roughly a year ago, the state of Georgia began fighting legal battles to pass a law that would grant greater protections to unborn children. Georgia is still fighting to protect all children with a heartbeat despite a federal court telling Georgia a month ago that murdering unborn babies is constitutional. Netflix decided to play politics instead of doing the sensible thing and just trying to make customers happy. Netflix, along with Disney, vowed to boycott Georgia if Georgia succeeds in passing laws that would save countless lives. When Netflix announced that it supported the murder of unborn children, I unsubscribed. In the end, I don't care about your personal opinions when you watch my videos. For the most part, I try to be entertaining and just stick to pop culture. But there are things in life that are far more important than pop culture. And in that regard, Netflix has been consistently batting out with me. Netflix, among other things, advocates the idea of unborn child genocide, and now it has gone a step further in showing this disgusting display of pedophilia. In the end, I cannot in good faith do any consistent business with Netflix with my own money. Granted, there are some good things on Netflix. To the content creators of Coolapari and Klaus, I pose this question. Do you really want your wholesome content on the same streaming platform as Cuties and Big Mouth? I hope the answer is no, and would advise that you somehow can find another avenue to distribute your content, such as burning your movies and shows on DVD and Blu-ray and selling them to your fans. Anyway, this is the end of my rant. I hope you enjoyed my take on this recent news regarding Netflix. And bear in mind, we may disagree on important topics, but I feel the way I do because I believe all lives matter, no matter how old, no matter how small, and no matter how helpless. A person's a person, no matter how small. Hopefully my next video can be of a more lighthearted nature. I do not relish making more serious video essays, but sometimes it's important to give your voice on a significant trending topic. If you wish to see the kinds of videos I normally make, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Now my friends, go forth, have courage in the face of evil, and may God bless you.